Hey, good morning. This is Bull Johnson, and welcome to this week's Independent is Power. One of the things we're going to talk about today is a bill that was pushed through the House last week. It's a gun control bill. Uh, it's got six different parts to it. We're only going to talk about a couple of them today. Uh, I was reading through the bill over the last couple of days, and it's so frustrating trying to read these bills because so much of it are just amending other bills. So to understand what it's saying, you have to look at it, go back, find the original bill, go to that section or that part to see what exactly it's changed. Uh, Come on now, we can make these things simpler than it has to be. Say what they are so that Joe Blow or even a congressperson looking at it will look at it and go, oh, I see exactly what this means. One of the big parts of this bill, or one of the big issues of this bill, would raise raise the age at which somebody can purchase a fire rifle or shotgun with a capacity of more than 5 rounds from 18 to 21. I've got some problems with this for a few reasons. I made a comment to Amy Klobuchar this week on a tweet that she had, and she made the comment of you can't even drink till you're 21. Why should you be allowed to have a weapon of this type before you're 21? My response to that was at 18, I can enter a contract with the government to go overseas and fight their wars. At 18, I can be drafted. At 18, I can enter into a contract for X amount of dollars a month that basically is enforceable. At 18, I can exercise the greatest power that an American citizen has, the ability to vote. So you're telling me I'm mature and smart enough to do all these things, but not drink a beer or own a rifle. My comment back to Amy Klobuchar was the question is why shouldn't you be able to own a why should you be able to own a weapon before you're able to drink? To why shouldn't you be able to drink at 18? Uh, I mean that just hit a sore spot for me because I mean with my age, I was around when they during that time period when they were switching from 18 to 21. As many of you know, I'm from Louisiana originally, and in Louisiana it was one of the last states to switch, and they basically refused to switch for this very reason of Louisiana legislators said, hey, if you can fight a war at 18, damn it, you need to be able to drink. Uh, they didn't change their stance until basically the government forced them to by withholding highway funds. They the federal funds that they are required to provide as part of the Constitution for postal routes. They said we're not going to give you this money unless you change your drinking age to 21. That's the only reason they switch, and the numerous other states. So I've got a little bit of a heartburn with anything that says, you know what, you're too immature to own this weapon, but you are mature enough to do all these other things. And indeed, a lot of Democrats want to actually lower the voting age to 16. So to me, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. Another part of this law that really doesn't make any sense is how they're starting to define a manufacturer, where you would need a actual manufacturer's license. Part of that definition states that anyone who assembles, prints, manufactures the parts of a firearm are a manufacturer. I want to go back to the first part of that, assemble. That stands alone. If you assemble a weapon, you're considered a manufacturer according to this change in law. For anybody who's ever cleaned a gun, have you ever done it without disassembling and assembling a weapon? By the text of the law, that now makes you a weapons manufacturer. And as we know, and as we've seen through the courts over time, courts are more worried about what the text is compared to an intent. They say, you know, we cannot determine an intent. Congress needs to make clear what they mean. Well, in this law, they're making clear what they mean. If you assemble a weapon, you are considered a manufacturer. we don't want to leave it into somebody's interpretation of the law. So in my mind, just that portion alone is another huge red flag. Um, there's a lot of parts of this law that to me it just doesn't make sense, and just what frustrates me is when they went through the Judicial Committee to discuss this. I believe it was last Saturday. Our Congressperson Michelle Fischbach is a member of the Judicial Committee. This hearing went on for I want to say 9 hours, of which I watched a good portion of it. You know who I did not see? Michelle Fischbach. She was not there fighting and defending our Second Amendment rights on a committee that she's a part of and that she touted as part of the reason why she's got so much influence in D.C. When it mattered, she was silent. Now, was she there and not just saying anything? I don't know. Was she back here campaigning? Again, I don't know that either. But either case, as a congressperson, as my representative, I expect her to be there fighting for me, for fighting what we believe in, not waiting until determining which way the wind is going to blow, and then you put out a position, which is kind of where I felt a lot of this was going. Thankfully, this particular law did not include some of the issues going on like red flag laws. I've got a big issue with red flag laws. I appreciate their intent. But the fact is, whenever you have a situation where you're taking a weapon before due process, and then you're forcing somebody to prove why they should have that weapon back, that's not right. You're first of all, you're causing him or her excessive cost to have to exercise a right that they are guaranteed in the Constitution. So yeah, I've got some issues and some heartburn with that. I caused a little bit of heartburn with a post I made yesterday when I pointed out that Donald Trump actually made the comment of take the guns first, due process second. I'm sorry, guys, that's what he said. That's what he meant. And if you're too blinded by personal or party loyalty, I'm sorry. I mean, we got to be able to open our eyes and look at things. He wasn't perfect. I mean, he did a lot of great things, but you know what? On the Second Amendment, he was weak. And the fact that the NRA still supported him tells you all that you need to know about the NRA. I mean, they are a political organization. They do not really care about our rights as much as they care about their own existence, about their own CEOs and their own guy. I mean, take a look how much money these guys are reimbursed or paid. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm sorry, I just don't have a whole lot of respect for the NRA. When you had Mr. Castillo in Minneapolis shot by a police officer for practicing his Second Amendment rights by having a gun in his city council that he was licensed for, and for the most part, the NRA stayed silent, that told me all I needed to know about the NRA. I really firmly believe that if Philip Castillo was white, they would have came out and said something. Our minorities, they are the ones with the biggest skin in the game when it comes to Second Amendment rights. I mean, they are the ones who have had their rights trampled on and taken for the longest time period. Would that happen if they were armed? And people couldn't just count on them to roll over and play dead? I don't think so. So we need to make sure that all of our brother and sister Americans have that right to bear arms if they choose to do so. People use the argument of, you know what, a civilian does not need a weapon of war. I'm not real sure how to break this to you. The Second Amendment was specifically meant to address weapons of war. The specific reason for it was so that the people could fight a tyrannical government, federal government on a state level. So they fully expected the people to have the same type of weapons as the federal government did. If you don't like that, you don't appreciate that, you know what? I sympathize. The founding fathers gave us a way to change that amendment. If you feel that strongly about it, that's the route you need to go. But to put laws into the books into effect that violate the Second Amendment is wrong. The Constitution is our supreme law of the land. And again, they give you an option on how to change that if times change or if situations change. I mean, I fully understand. I mean, just like I understand concern with red flag laws. I mean, there are some people who, I mean, just don't have the mental capacity to own a firearm. But you know what? They need to go through due process. They need to have our rights need to be guaranteed. If we have to ask for permission, they're not a right; they're a privilege. And the Bill of Rights is called the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Privileges. So we really need to expect that and to demand that of our lawmakers that they will protect these rights. They swore an oath to the Constitution. That needs to be honored. One of the other issues I had with this bill is the basically prohibition of magazines that hold more than 15 rounds. Furthermore, it exempts retired police officers from that prohibition. Why? Why are retired police officers considered different than me and you and everywhere else? They like to talk about Uvalde and the weapons that this kid had in the magazines and so forth. Truth of the matter is, he was in there for an hour before the police went in. He could have went in there with a 5-shot shotgun and done as much damage as he did in an hour with those. In fact, there would probably been more damage with buckshot in there with ammunition that spread rather than a centerfire rifle. So this whole law that they're passing would not have made one difference in Uvalde. Not one. And if you look at various times of these mass murderers, mass shootings, a lot of times it's not the only ones you hear about are the ones with the Armalite rifle type rifles, which I do want to again rephrase and emphasize that it's an Armalite rifle. That's what AR stands for, not assault rifle. Mass media, you really show your ignorance when you try to call it something else. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, in a lot of these shootings, the type of weapon's not mattering. We're not addressing the root issues. We're not addressing the lack of mental resiliency in our young people today. We are not addressing what's causing that lack of resiliency. We're not talking about the fact that people are no longer allowed to fail in school. They never have to actually deal with rejection. They don't have to actually overcome failure, so that when they do have those situations as a young adult, they haven't built up the coping mechanisms. Why aren't we asking those questions? I mean, other than the fact that it goes against a narrative that's been pushed for the last 20 or 30 years. But we need to look at root causes, not the tools. I mean, one of the most popular things you see is we don't take cars away to prevent drunk driving deaths. We address the issue of drunk driving. And I think that's what we need to do. Is it's not a matter of the tools people use. If people want to cause chaos, they want to cause mass death, they will. It doesn't matter the tool they use, whether it's a rifle, whether it's poison, whether it's explosives. I mean, look. I mean, in the 70s when you had the and I'm having a complete brain fart here on the Jones situation, they killed hundreds of people with poisonous Kool-Aid. Did we outlaw Kool-Aid? No. So I'm just not sure what the end goal here is here, except to disarm America's population. And if we look through history, we look through other countries, disarming the population never ends good for the population. It ends up making them just that much easier to control, and it takes away some of our checks and balances. So I am vehemently against this bill that passed the House. I have good faith that it will not pass the Senate. But then again, they are negotiating something right now, so we really don't know. But I maintain steadfast in my support for the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, the right to bear arms, and that it shall not be infringed. I mean, to me, that's plain language. But that's enough about as far as our talking about our Second Amendment and this bill and the Michelle Fischbach missed her opportunity to get up there and fight for us. We have a very busy weekend coming on. After we finish this, I'm going to be going up to the Alex area where I'll be meeting with Tyrell Ventura, who's the son of Jesse Ventura, who's going to be recording me for a new program that Jesse's putting out as part of a podcast type of show that's basically live now. Yeah, I'm completely having a brain fart here. But it's a program that he's putting out to support independent candidates. After that, we're going to be going out to Fergus Falls, where there's a parade tonight, part of their Summerfest 2022. I do not know if we're going to be marching in the parade yet or not. We got our registration in a little bit later. But either way, we are going to be there walking the parade route, telling people about our campaign, telling people about our efforts to put power back in the hands of the people. Tomorrow, I'll be up in Hubbard County for a Republican fundraiser, believe it or not, in Nevis, which supposedly is going to have Michelle Fischbach there as a guest speaker. People say, well, it's a Republican function. Why are you going? Because that's where the voters are. We go where they are. And you know what? I have no issues with going into their house and saying, this is who we are. This is what we stand for. And ask what you actually stand for now. So if you're available, I mean, please come out and see us. We're going to be putting out a little bit more of a schedule for next week. Next week, I'm planning on being in the southern part of the district. We'll be at Redwood Falls on Tuesday. You can look at the details on our Facebook page as far as our exact location. It's going to be a meet and greet from 4 to 6. We are still looking at putting up some other things on the schedule for that week. If you're in that area and you have a suggestion, please let us know. Other than that, hey, I appreciate y'all tuning in this week. Just please, guys, keep us in mind. You know the price of gas right now. All this traveling is costing an arm and a leg. $5 of gas ain't no freaking joke. For me to go to here to Redwood Falls this week is about 5.5 to 6 hours. So please, we can use your financial support if you're able and willing. Please go to our website, bulljohnsonforcongress.us. Go to the contribute section, and that will bring you to our store, which you have options of purchasing some of our swag, as well as just making a donation. Every little bit helps, whether it's $5 or $10 or $20. This all adds up. We've got a goal this month of $10,000. We're about a quarter way to our goal right now, but we are on the 11th, so we're a little bit behind. Please help us out if you can. Now, again, thanks very much. This is Travis Bull Johnson. Remember, independent is power. Thank you very much. Goodbye.